Warner, that he's going to ask. I was going to say he's going to ask you to come to the microphone.
Okay.
Work on your AI generated professional speech.
Let's hope all goes well.
I know, don't worry.
Yeah.
Perfect. No, you're still helping us. I don't care at all. Now, if you were to like say, hey, I'm going to, well, somewhere else, then I'm gracious.
My superintendent sometimes says, Brandon,
I had a
you go there.
on the building.
On registration day, I had to do that.
So, kindergarten.
So seven. My guys in the authority position.
All right.
You just gotta get that.
You have a good team too.
Just to be there in case there was some sort of. That's right. Yeah, they'll make you come here.
Okay.
So, our board president is usually pretty good at wanting to.
Okay.
What building are you gonna go to? Well, he's got all the because he knows.
Oh, I know. Again, it's just. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I wonder why. I'm serious.
I've been in executive session. That's a really good question. Craig has been a good addition.
Oh, Mark is not over here.
I knew he wasn't, because when I emailed them all the stuff, sometimes they'll let me know if they're not coming. And then Jim will usually let me know if he's not coming. So he's trying to start it too.
Well, I'm sorry. It's just, I didn't know. I was doing the same thing. You might want to say, what?
Concerned that in our world. We don't want. Hopefully it's just a letter.
Well, we don't.
What's that?
I like it when they bring their computers and make their own board docs. It makes me happy that
So
it helps feed that vision that Steve has someday. Everyone.
Everyone would on the ride along.
How you doing?
I think, I just agree with that. We're not there.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
Hey,
How are you, Mr. Heater?
how are you? I am great. Bradley? Okay.
I won't ask you if you want the long version.
Yes. Give me the version. The version.
I was like, maybe she's not back, Mom.
They said they just wanted to mix it up, mix it up, we have a little bit.
We now got the.
It didn't look like it was all males all men and all women.
Yes.
Well, I haven't checked, you know, my thought.
I tell you, we left at 7:29 Saturday morning. Come home. Didn't pass an hour. Oh, it's like in the middle of nowhere. I'm telling you. It's a little far out for me.
The landscape.
Beautiful.
I don't know.
It's like Sue's family. She's Hi, James.
Oh, he used your government name. He called you James.
Pardon me?
He called you James. Use your old government name.
Yeah, my government name.
I haven't heard from them.
Is that one of those ones you write on, but it doesn't save your name?
Now, Leanne gave hers to Andy to try.
Harbor Springs.
I just
I gave Heidi use. I got one for Heidi too to try on. She doesn't like it very much.
It's up
That's
there.
up there to try.
Right?
I don't really do a lot, except my own stuff.
Yeah,
You will not be there Friday.
I like it a lot.
I think there's only like 4 of them. It's like the time.
Yeah.
What do you say?
No moisture? You think maybe just disturbing it with all of the,
Well, what's above there? What would be the sun?
When do we report back to control?
Far away from
yeah?
You gotta go back up.
next time they come.
I hear you.
It's 5 o'clock. We'll call ourselves to order. Everyone, join in a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Call our roll. Dr. O'Neill,
Present.
Mr. Heater, present. Ms. Barnes Griffin, Dr. Washburn, Mr. Lowe, and Mr. Irvin is absent this evening. I think he's on vacation. At this point, we will turn to our CEO's report. Dr. Reynolds?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jim. Just a couple of items tonight. It's a little slower for big events in the summertime. Plenty of action happening, but a couple of exciting things upcoming I think folks would like to know about. Eric gave me an update last week about the Muncie Community Schools Ball State University Direct Admit program, where our Muncie Central students have the opportunity to get direct admittance into Ball State if they meet grade threshold on the Core 40 diploma track. And if they successfully meet those criteria, they can have direct admittance into Ball State. No other application, no application fee, just direct admittance into Ball State. So right now we have 54 juniors that have met that threshold and are on track to have a direct admittance to Ball State. So it's just another exciting opportunity for our students at Muncie Central. It's about my favorite time of the year with summer band kicking in. They'll start their competition season this weekend. They'll head to Jay County on Friday and we host our own show here on Saturday. The next Friday, they'll head to Anderson High School and have a competition there. Then following Saturday, they will do a car show fundraiser at Southside Middle School and do a state fair performance, preview performance that evening at 9 o'clock. So great opportunities to come in and catch our band in action. State fair draw just was released last week. We're going to perform on State Fair on August the 2nd at 10:45 a.m. 10:45 a.m. for the morning show, and then it's a pretty good time to perform. Not too early yet, not too late, where you dodge the heat of the day and get plenty of rest before the night show. Have about 90 kids performing this summer with the marching band and guard. A show called Uninvited. It's a really a fun show. So I think you guys get a chance to check it out. It'd be worth a while. Had a lot of conversations with Brad and the Muncie Central team. Stadium project still on target and ready to go. Really going to be a beautiful space. One that I guess, like we've said many times, that our students and our families deserve. The poured concrete that goes behind the stadium and around down to the new locker room and concession stand and restrooms. Just going to be a tremendous space. And oddly enough, it just really works very well together with the stadium and Central and the YMCA. It just looks like it fits in that space. Registration days are coming up. Some of the most important days of our summer season, our registration days. We'll have district-wide events at all schools on Wednesday, July 24th from 10 to 3, and Thursday, July 25th from 1 to 6. And that will be at all of our schools. If you have a student that goes to Longfellow and Northside and Central, you could go to just Longfellow if you wanted to get help with registration and get things taken care of there. We would love for you to go to all the facilities that your kids attend, but understand that could be a bit of a time constraint issue. So please stop by and get your students registered. At Southside on July the 24th, we'll have a fit fair in conjunction with Meridian Health Services, where they'll have lots of health activities and opportunities for your families to participate in. You can have sport physicals at that time, and also the football team will be there doing some activities with kids. So while maybe your adults are doing certain things, you can send the kids off with some of the football team and Coach Paget and Coach Miller to do some physical fitness Bearcat Way activities. Let's see. And then we're getting close to the start of school. New teacher orientation is October 1st and 2nd. August 1st and 2nd. Dia wishes it was October. She would have lots of time to prepare. August 1st and 2nd at Southside. So that's for all the teachers new to MCS. First teacher day, August 5th, and first student day, August 7th, which is a Wednesday. I guess my last little bit of information, all of our preschool classrooms are full at this time, except for Grissom. We have some seats open at Grissom because we've expanded to 4 classrooms at Grissom Elementary. So there's some opportunities there for our families. First preference would go to our Grissom families, but if let's say Westview is full and you still wanted to get into the MCS preschool, we could get you in at Grissom. All right, I think that's it.
Any questions for Dr. Reynolds?
Quick question about the preschool. We see our limitation of how many teachers. It's not.
Yes and no. So I really at facilities at Westview and Northview just have the one classroom, and that's a facilities constraint. We had the extra space at Grissom, so we got to add another room at Grissom.
Do we have the potential to grow?
Right now, I think we are where we are. When you say Heidi, yeah.
So our capacity is what, 260?
Yes,
Yep.
currently, for this upcoming year. Last year, we ended the year with 222, and we have 240 slots across all 6 schools. So we're down about 18 from our capacity.
So we're pretty close to capacity.
No. So we would always offer the, in this case, Grissom as an overflow capacity. They could go there and.
And Mitchell has space. So, I mean, I think if we had additional space at Northview or Westview, we could fill it.
Yeah.
That would be my expectation.
Yes, so many of our schools have a wait list, and we will offer those individuals on the wait list positions at Grissom if they would like to, and extend that invitation to them. So some accept it and some don't, just because of location. Yeah.
Any additional questions?
Comment, thank you for reducing the barriers for parents and students and also for being able to do a one-stop shop if they need that.
Tell us more about that. I'm curious. I have a question. What did, explain it for people.
Oh, no, just the fact that, I mean, some folks with limited mobility,
Yeah.
limited transportation, that barrier, being able to be at that one school that you're trying to do right now. Right?
Yep, they can head, even if they don't have a child at Longfellow, they could still pop into Longfellow and not go into Central and get some help getting registered. And they may not have their Power School access code, but they could get a hold of somebody who can get that for them.
Yeah, I think that's very helpful. So for those of you watching tonight on the stream, that's, that's a real convenience to be able to register and take care of those things at whatever school you're closest to on that given day. So please take advantage of it. Dr. Reynolds, are you going to cover the elementary instruction day, or is somebody else going to do it?
I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt like since that was a project that we started, we've had conversations, I don't know, maybe a little over a year now, and then worked with the leadership team to come up with this. So I just felt like I should present it. So over the last 2 years, we've had some conversations about it, increasing the instructional day. We have one of the shortest elementary academic days locally, and even with like schools. We do meet all the state thresholds for instruction, but we've really felt like we needed to capture additional time. Process checks the last 2 years where we go in, we meet with every elementary group of teachers, grade level teachers, and have conversations about new implementations that year, and then challenges and solutions. We have all those conversations, and for the last couple of years, we've had several voice of concern. There's just not enough time to get what we need covered. Now, there's also been those conversations like, oh, wait a second, we're going to make the day longer. But we really think we've come up with a really nice plan to do that without really impacting the teacher's day too bad. I would say that, like I mentioned, we have a 6.5 hours is the instructional day, and the shortest day locally. I did find one school in another urban city that had one school that was a little shorter. I didn't have time to research to see what that was, but really only one school that had a shorter day than us. Of the 36 that we sampled, the average was 6 hours, 6.72 hours. So just about 6.75 hours was the average day. So
we were below average by a quarter of an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Or 15 minutes.
Yep. So we did find some research that really supported what we were trying to do with just 15 minutes a day, and you extrapolate that over 180 days, and you think, wow, that really does add into some instructional time. Adds 45 hours or 6.5 instructional days to the academic year. And study that we were looking at, a 1% increase in the average overall academic performance, 1.5% increase in the average academic and the average achievement for the disadvantaged students, and then 30% gain in the average growth for the socially economically disadvantaged student achievement from the previous academic years once that new year was implemented. Just I guess you don't, when you're trying to figure out how to capture as many minutes as you can, you don't realize how much time you're gaining, but just 15 minutes a day, you see adds quite a bit of time to the instructional day. So part of that was just considering the logistics. How can we fit additional instructional time into the traditional teacher workday? We think we've done that. We've had conversations with Auxilio early on, and they believe that they could meet the need of transporting students, even if we bump that time one way or another, or split it. Communication with all stakeholders, we begin to sketch out some of our communications to families, which will go out tonight if we didn't have any additional questions or concerns. Breakfast in the classroom. So how can we logistically do that, or should we move that back to the cafeteria to give a definitive time to when that instructional day starts, which was the impetus behind moving that back to the cafeteria. Then the impact of our after-school activities, our athletics and clubs after school. Can we still transport those kids and partner with our after-school programming and our after-school partners, and how will that impact the Boys and Girls Club coming in and the YMCA coming in, and then of course our after-school childcare that with just our families have arranged. So those are all the things that we thought about and considered as we began to look at how could we capture an additional 15 minutes. Where we landed was moving the day from a 7:45 doors open for breakfast, opening the doors a little earlier to get the kids through the cafeteria. Instructional day begins at 8 o'clock. When we had breakfast in the classroom, it was easier to monitor the breakfast and ensuring that kids got a good breakfast to start the day. I think the unintended consequences is when that instruction started, it kind of varied. Sometimes the kids would eat quick and they would start that instruction early, and other times they would give the kids time to finish and maybe eat into that instructional day. So we really believe that moving the breakfast back into the cafeteria, funneling the kids all through the cafeteria in the morning so they all could get breakfast, and then to the classroom for an 8 o'clock instructional time start, that would be the best idea. We considered bumping that back 5 minutes, but boy, we have done such a hard lift to communicate to parents when the doors open and when the instructional day starts. We really didn't want to move that again, so we left it at the 8 o'clock instructional time. We are going to open the doors earlier for breakfast, but we're going to keep that instructional time at 8 o'clock. Instruction begins, and add that 15 minutes on to dismissal at the end of the day for a 2:55 dismissal. Some of the communication, of course, this gives you a little quick timeline of our anticipation of our discussion today with the school board. We'll send our communication out to all of our teachers. We've had some initial conversations with teachers about it during process checks, but we have some concrete samples that we'll send out now to folks. Heidi has been talking to principals about these options, so that started. Tonight, I'll work with Andy to finalize our parent communication and begin to talk about kind of the importance of that and getting some additional time in an instructional day. And then we'll begin working with our school partners on how that could impact the after-school programming that they provide. And then we'll really do a big push at the registration events at the schools. So the back-to-school newsletters that follow that from our principals and even our teachers, that we'll get help from them to help push that out. Again, just the importance of it. You know, our academics, we've seen some good growth in areas, especially when we're looking at our iReady scores, but they're not where we want them to be yet. I just think that we have to continue to look at how to capture instructional time to increase that academic achievement and performance. Some additional considerations, just kind of a clarification. 2-hour early release, we're going to keep it at a 2-hour early release. So instead of it being released at 12:40, they will be released at 12:55, or 12:55 at the elementary. We'll have a plan to cover breakfast and dismissals. So that's something that the teachers normally did. There was a bit more of a cushion. Their workday is still 7:40 to 3:10. But it will start at 7:40 and go till 3:10. There usually some flexibility in there, but Heidi has some suggestions for our buildings that I think could really provide some good options that I think the teachers will appreciate. Again, like I mentioned, we'll have additional communication with our after-school childcare folks. Athletics, those events that we typically would start at 3:15, we'll just bump that back to 3:30. And don't see a big issue with that. Our biggest hangup right now is our preschool arrival and dismissal. Typically, we would find coverage within the building. We could get creative counselors, and student assistant coordinators, family navigators, the office, the building instructional assistant that supports that. The problem with our preschool folks is there's additional certifications and hoops that they have to go through to be able to be certified to do that. So that is our one stumbling block right now. However, I didn't think it was a big enough block that we wanted to not move forward with it at this time. So right now, we're really leaning at a dismissal, just to dismiss them, begin dismissal of the preschool at 2:40, leave that at dismissal time at 2:40, and then work with those families that have students that are also attending the elementary school, so it doesn't put an additional burden on those folks too.
So the arrival, when do preschool children arrive?
Same time as the K to 5 kids.
So their instruction begins at 8?
Yes. Now, it will vary a little bit from school to school because of cafeteria usage, and they're supposed to be separate from the K to 5 kiddos.
Is there a reason why we wouldn't expand their day?
Yep. So the issue is the amount of hours that the instructional assistants work to have compliance ratio. If we add that additional 15 minutes, that would bump everyone up to full-time status and then insurance status. So it's one thing to add 15 minutes of pay to them, but then everyone then is eligible for insurance, which would be, and how many classrooms do we have? 11 classrooms.
Not counting Longfellow, because there's a five hour.
Right.
Okay.
One of those thoughts about the parent and that's ridiculous. Like what do you?
So the teacher is still there. So if everyone is there, we're at a ratio. So you have to have 1 to 10, right, Heidi? So you have to have 1 to 10. So the majority of our kids leave pretty quickly after that. So I don't think it would be an issue because the teacher's still there until, as their day till 3:10 as well, Heidi, is that right? So their teacher is still there till 3:10. So we believe that most students will leave at that 2:40 time, but those that have siblings that can't make it in, they could stay with the preschool teacher.
And keep your ratio intact.
And keep the ratio within compliance. A little easier at the larger preschool classrooms because you have more bodies there. I think it'll be the biggest challenge at Westview and Northview because there's just the one classroom, so one teacher, one aide. So when at 2:40, the aide her day is finished. So as we finish up dismissal, the kids that maybe their parents work in the building too, they would stay back with the preschool teacher. Pretty set on.
Like, you have enough with having the one.
I don't know that we've cross-referenced because we're getting close to finalizing the preschool list. I don't know that we've cross-referenced that with sibling enrollment yet. Yeah. Mhm. August 7th. Right. I think since it's a pickup, since it's just one time, yeah, it's just a pickup, I think we'll be okay. Yeah. Right.
So
4 weeks, 5 weeks.
the increase in time is bringing the elementary day just to average with the other samples that we've
Yeah.
looked at.
Yeah.
And where were those samples?
We sampled Delaware County, and we sampled our like districts, kind of the North Central Conference, Anderson, Marion, Lafayette, Richmond, and Indianapolis, and the townships around MSD.
So what would be the academic plan for the use of the extra time?
So that's Heidi is working on a schedule to build those days in, or build that time back into the days, and the thrust of those minutes would go to literacy.
Any additional questions?
Yeah.
Right, but that research of 37% gain.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Well, and we're also facing, all school districts in Indiana are facing a statute governing issues involving third grade reading. And so, starting 2024, 2025 school year, unless you're somehow exempted out, which I believe the exemptions are relatively restricted.
Yep.
If you don't pass I-Read 3, it's an automatic retention pursuant to that statute. So that's going to, we look at these logistical issues. If you start having to retain 15 or 20% of your third graders, that's going to create logistical headaches that make this look pretty easy.
Right.
So, I mean, I think you have to take steps to mitigate as much as you can the challenges we have.
Right. And it, right. Right. Yeah. Yep.
And so the breakfast would be moved back to the cafeteria, correct?
Yep.
So that's a benefit to our teachers.
Yes.
And these are the buses and stuff that all work out, which you're excited some of the buses we share. Right?
Yep. Yep. So they will do 2 routes. A lot of them will do 2 routes, and Matt at Auxilio thought that would be, they could still handle that, because really their challenge is the high school, and there's not a lot of yellow buses at the high school.
Additional questions? Ms. White? Concerns, questions from you? You've got to manage the implementation of this, so.
Right, absolutely. No, just working on capitalizing on that time the best we can at each grade level. And then, as Dr. Reynolds expressed, the biggest hiccup that we've seen so far is with that pre-K population, and how we, accommodate parents and staff members who use our programming have other siblings. So we think we have a plan, but I will certainly cross-reference those siblings. The siblings is a little bit harder to cross-reference sometimes, just varying class needs and things like that. So we'll certainly take a look at that and make sure we can get down to that 10-to-1 ratio, which I think we should be okay.
If you recall, I think in maybe 18, 19, the preschool, they started 30 minutes after the school day and let out 30 minutes before the school day. So we added that hour back in. So we're not taking any time away. We're just logistically that extra 15 minutes. And we're going to continue to work on that to see what we can do. But
And we actually, last year, our 5 elementaries, excluding Longville because of Puffer, were on varying schedules. So it was really important this year for us to create a consistent schedule across all 5 of our elementary schools. And we also lengthened all of their days to our current schedule. And so, we had already made some concessions for that. So we, we're going to continue to work and brainstorm on that. But we have made strides with the pre-K schedule for the 24-25 school year as compared to last year.
Additional questions, concerns? What, and you, I'm assuming in process checks heard the same thing that Dr. Reynolds was hearing that additional time was needed.
Yeah, I think our schedule is just so tight, have everything down to the minute. And so this will just allow a little bit of flexibility with that in terms of just so the teachers feel like they have that opportunity to take a breath throughout some of that instruction. And so, yes, we consistently heard that at process checks for at least the last 2 years that I've participated in them.
last year we implemented a district-wide instructional map at each grade level. So, kindergarten ran the same schedule of reading, math, literacy, specials, lunch. They ran that same schedule across the entire districts. So that was to help the master teachers support literacy instruction and they could collaborate better. It helps the principals do monitor instruction, Heidi monitor instruction. So I think that was a little more evident when they had a consistent schedule that they were all following. I think the need for additional time really came out last year.
Then during implementation, I assume there'll be a monitoring program set up to troubleshoot.
Yeah.
Okay. Additional questions? Anything? Would entertain a motion to approve the request to address the elementary instructional day as proposed. Have a motion, do I hear a second? Second. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, Dr. Reynolds. We'll look forward to hearing how this goes. And please let us know if there's additional support that the board can give you as this is implemented.
Two things, Jim.
Please.
One is thank you, Heidi, and the teachers in advance for change. It's change, that can be uncomfortable. So thanks for believing in it. And then secondly, it's a good reminder to make sure that we get students registered. One of the things that we have to realize is that we have a lot of late registrations. And so mapping siblings gets pretty hard, particularly since a preschooler might be a first time attendee at Muncie. So anybody listening, if you haven't registered, or make sure that we take advantage of early registration. Right, Dr. Reynolds?
That's right. We're a little over half that have completed all their paperwork and updated all their forms in the Power School enrollment. So
That feels like a good number.
Yeah. Well, I'd like more, but we keep inching up. Absolutely.
So, okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I think we have Ms. Burks with us. Come on up and introduce yourself. Welcome. You're going to be joining us at Longfellow, right?
Yes, I will. Kindergarten.
Kindergarten. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Amari Burks. I just graduated from Ball State with a degree in early childhood education. My plan is to go back and get my master's for educational psychology. So I will be starting that in the fall. And I'm super excited to be here. I've been working with children for a very long time, probably since I was 13. I had my own daycare business. And then in high school, I did some teaching through my school, Warren Township. I went to Warren Central High School. And then I came to college and I did my student teaching at West J Elementary in Dunkirk. So, yes, I'm super excited. Thank you all for the warm welcomes.
Well, Dr. K was at Warren for a while, wasn't she? Okay, so were you there when Dr. K was there? She's kind of old, so.
I don't think I was there. I don't think I was there, no.
She's gone. She's watching. So make sure, do we still have the tuition deal with, so make sure Allstate gives you your tuition discount because you're at MCS.
Okay.
What is the discount? Half, so.
Oh, nice.
For 6 hours, you get half price.
Okay.
So you just got a raise just now.
I will do that. I appreciate that.
And we are pleased to have you with us, and let us know if we can be helpful at any point. And when you get your master's degree, if you'll just stay, we would appreciate that.
All righty, I will do that.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you so much. Nice to meet everyone.
So do we have any other recommended hires here tonight? I don't think so. Let me check. And I want to recognize, I believe, Joyce King, who is retiring after 25 and a half years. Wishing Ms. King a good retirement. With that, any additional questions concerning the consent agenda?
How are we doing on openings, Dr. Bell?
We are, at this point, I think we're doing very well. We are looking at those numbers each day. And so we've had some recent retirements or resignations, people leaving the state, wanting to take jobs or moving with family out of state. But I think at this point in July, we're doing really well. We have, looking at my numbers, 10 to 13 teacher openings, but some have moved around, and some of those positions on my list that I shared this morning are not being filled, they're being repurposed. So I feel really good at this point.
Okay, any additional questions? Okay, with that, would entertain a motion to approve those matters in the consent agenda, those items in the consent agenda.
So move.
Motion, do I hear a second? Moved in second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, Mr. Jerome, the financial report.
Thank you. Yes, in your board packet is our financial report for the results of June. That's our 6 months in the calendar year. At our 2 meetings from now, our first meeting in August, we'll have the budget presentation. We'll have a lot more financial data as we look ahead for the next 18 months. That's what the budget process is. So for this month, it's just the June results and our forecast where we think we'll be at the end of June. We're always happy to report we received our state basic grant. The revenue that we expect for the year, about still $47.4 million. That pretty much, we received the new estimate of revenue for this calendar year, which now includes the next 6 months, and it's the $47.4 million. So we're still tracking that in terms of revenue from the state. And the update on the headcount there, I know you'd asked Dr. Bell about that too. As of today, the data you had in your report there dated July 2nd, we've now had 44 teachers have resigned or retired. We've hired we've hired 36 new ones during the process here this summer. So that's still tracking with what Dr. Bell had said. So that's just kind of a natural activity that happens over the summer. Still expecting to have a cash balance overall. We had cash balance overall at the end of June of $31.4 million. Still expecting to be over $32 million at the end of December in our forecast is what we would expect. Still have a cash flow surplus expectation in education fund as well. We'll have more data on that next in 2 meetings. Our outstanding school loan for this, common school loan for the state of Indiana is down to $9 million at the end of the 6-month period here. So we have paid back $3 million of that loan that started in the year 2000 on the payback, and that goes through the first 6 months of 2028. So it now kicks up. The monthly amount is $180,000 per month as it kicks up. We did receive local property taxes in the month of June. We're on target to get just probably about $12 million or so this year. We received those property taxes from the county auditor. Some of the next few summary of funds report and some of those graphs are just showing the trend of the, I always like to show that. It may not mean that much on an individual month, but you can see the trend of your overall checkbook balance is the top blue number there. You can see how that's trended up over the last 6 years. And you see the little red column there going down. That's the outstanding state loan that we're paying that back. That's what that reflects. And that just reflects the net amount of those 2 amounts. So the trend is still up on the cash balance. Appropriation-wise, that's one of the next reports there. We're still using, operation fund and rainy day fund. We kind of bundle those 2 together to help support the operational needs of the school district. And we know that's not always sustainable. We do realize that. It's the tax cap implication hurts us a bit in the operation fund. We'll have more conversation about that when we talk about our budget and how that looks for the future. So we are trying to manage that within our in our budget. We will have to ask for some additional appropriations later in the fourth quarter, but that is part of our budget process. That really pretty much.
Let me
Yeah.
ask you a question about that.
Yes.
So back one slide. So what's the current balance in the rainy day fund?
Your current balance of rainy day, your fund balance at the end of June, you were $6.2 million in rainy day. So you're still expected to be above about $3.5 million or so at the end of December.
So
it's not out yet.
So we have a 2024 state budget approved appropriation for $3.7 million.
Right.
To supplement the operations fund.
We had some additional one-off things that happened in rainy day that we had to help support, not just the operations, because normally in 2022, the calendar year 2022 was probably the last. That was the last year where we did not have to use rainy day to help us because we were still getting the appropriation levels in operation fund was just under 13 million. I think it was about 12.6 or 12.7 million. So just for normal operations, that's about the sweet spot of where Muncie Schools is resting, 12.6 to 13 million of spending. And so anytime our budget approval in operation fund is below the 12.6 or 12.7, we're not where we're going to be, because the bulk of operation funds, you have the maintenance and facilities. We have that includes our SSC contract. It includes our Auxilio bus contract, and it includes our utilities and our security. Plus, it includes basically the operational folks and that are in this particular building here. So it's pretty amazing how 11.8 million gets chopped up really, really quickly to support those three or four main things. So in any event, that's our challenges we have here, because the operation fund is the one that bears the biggest brunt of the tax cap. So if you have we receive in the operational fund, just in terms of revenue, so you know where's the revenue coming to support the operation fund. It comes from the up to 15% transfer that you're allowed to make, which is all every district in the state that follows those same rules or guidelines. You're allowed to transfer up to 15% of your total revenue in the education fund. You transfer that over to operations. We continue to do that. We're not on the naughty list. We're not transferring more than 15%, so we're still doing well with that. The other part you get as revenue in the operation fund comes from your property taxes. The net of property taxes after the tax cap is applied to your levy. In our case, we're netting about 2.9 million of property tax revenue.
That goes to the operation.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, the rest is coming out of cash balance there, so that's
where you're
why.
having, right there, where you're talking about 12.5 to 13 million
Yeah.
being the rate, we've got a rainy day fund appropriation for 3.7 million.
Right.
That's gonna be 15.5 million, right?
In terms of spending for this year, because we had some spending out of that rainy day that was not just to support operations. We had some big one-off spending with some of the payments we had to make on, YMCA or some things related to some of the construction, some unexpected items. But the rainy day has helped us tremendously. We built that up over
Right.
the previous 5 years, basically being able to take the surpluses we were generating in the education fund, and we would continually slide as much as we could into the rainy day, as much as the budget rules would allow us.
So
And,
by the end of the end of 2024 rainy day, by your calculations, we'll have 3.5 million.
Yeah, we'll still have over 3 million left in rainy day this year, and we're still forecasting that in my 25 budget to have a positive balance of rainy day. The wild card is what we're always trying to do is generate a surplus in education fund in 24 as well as 25, so we can keep sliding more money into rainy day. That's how we did it. That's how we did it the previous 5 years.
What I'm driving at
Yep.
is the burn rate right now.
The
is
burn
not-
rate.
Not sustainable.
We know that, and our Baker Tilly consultants have continued to tell us that, and that's not anything new for us. It's just the tax caps have continued to be what they are the last 2 years.
Are there any efficiencies to be gained any place in the operations fund? You have any good place?
To your point, Jim, I was gonna ask if Rob got a lot of work, can you give us a break? You did it generally, can you give us a list, a breakdown, so that we can kind of.
Yeah.
Jim's question?
Well, I mean, we'll have that. I'll have more of that kind of detail for you when we come back here in the next
For the budget?
second meeting, for the budget. The one thing that was so unexpected this year, just as an example, in operation fund, I came in here on the very first board meeting in January and said, well, our property and casualty insurance went up $320,000. That's all basically out of operation fund. The increase was 320. The overall chunk of money that came out of operation was 650,000. So that's unsustainable also, having to generate those kinds of increases that are really unexpected. I mean, I expected some increase, but not doubling. So, we're working on some plans there to try to minimize that or to reduce that.
Where's health insurance come from? The education fund?
Health insurance, the only piece that would go against the operation fund is the share of those employees in the operation fund, and the health insurance is not the issue. The property and casualty insurance and workers' comp, that's what hits hard in your operation. And we've done well in the self-insurance fund, as it's over generated up to 3.4 million here at the end of June. So
when we get the draft budget here
Mhm.
in next 30 days.
Yeah.
I think it'll have the kind of detail, but,
yeah,
and we're gonna shut down here in just a second if that's not.
Yeah.
is this
Uh-oh.
the one I'm always supposed to touch it?
Yeah, you're supposed to, I hope it's gonna go.
Oh, it touched. Joe told me that was my one job. Okay. Anyway, I'll have more information for you about all these various topics.
I think we're gonna, I guess what I'm driving at is it's not too soon as a board to begin thinking about what our options are.
Uh-huh.
Assuming the legislature does not grant
Correct.
some relief on this issue. And I think the likelihood, I would not count on
Right.
relief from the legislature on this issue.
Yeah, the
They may, but
the conservative business manager in me, you have to be pessimistic somewhat, but real. I can't count on outside help.
Yeah, so we need to be thinking
Right.
about what are the board's options. The last thing you want to do is get to 2026 or 2027 and have $25 in your rainy day fund.
Yeah.
And be dealing with a water
Right.
leak. That's whatever.
Well, and that's where you still have to be able to run the district. You still have to be able to run the district, fix the emergencies, and do the things such as that. That's the challenges for us. It's just, we still are very fortunate that we have a really large, for us, cash balance. We're still above all the matrix and rules of thumb, if you will, that Baker Tilly would provide for us, or that I would tell you what you would need. We're still very fortunate. We've grown at over 30 million in that total fund balance. We're not relying upon any kind of cash flow loans or anything like that, which we were doing when I came here in 2018, just trying to get our head above water. So we have really been able to handle some of those operational efficiencies. It's just gotten harder. It's gotten harder as costs have gone up in a district, as well as less money going to the operation fund, which
Correct.
we knew the cumulative effect of the tax caps will continue to do that. So we know the new reality is what we're dealing with now.
We can't be the only school association in the state.
We are not.
No, it's widespread.
We are not.
Do we have a course of voices that are coming together to talk about how
Yes,
they're
they do.
addressing this?
Yes, they do.
They do. Okay.
Yeah, and Dr. K was a big part of that. A lot of source documents and information that Baker Tilly was so kind to help arm Dr. Chuck and Dr. K with to help continue to spread that message to the legislature. Also included other districts that were similar to our problems and similar to the same challenges regarding the tax cap, because we are, as we've said it before, and it's, you don't get an award for it, you know, we're in the top 10 of all the districts in Indiana on loss of tax cap money. And we're not able to solve that. It's just the reality of it. But we have to convey that, and that's what they're trying to do.
I think it might be beneficial too, after we get through the budget. I've seen some of those materials that have been pulled together, and I think, Brad, you've got those. I remember seeing Beech Grove on the list.
Yes.
I remember seeing Marion on the list.
Beech Grove is one that gets zero operational. They lose their entire operation fund. I don't know how they do it, but they're faced with significant problems also.
So I think if we could maybe set, Dr. Reynolds, look at setting a work session sometime in the fall where we're able to come in and just look at those documents and educate ourselves so that we can speak coherently about it as the legislature goes into session.
Brad, one thing I think would be important with that, I don't know if it has to be part of the budget, but to Jim and Jim's question of the major bucket expenses, I think it'd be interesting to see what's happened over the last 5 years relative to the taxes, you know, the tax piece of that. Because I think that is, if nothing else, will be a compelling reason to add to the communication that we can have with legislators about helping find a way to solve the issue.
And that'll certainly be part of what we'll convey in here next month for you. There's really two challenges in this. Number one is, as a legal body, we as a school district have to go through the state required steps to present a budget, have a public hearing, and have it adopted. And what that process is, you're telling the public and telling each other, this is what you are allowed to spend. You're setting the appropriations. That meets the guidelines. That meets the requirements of saying, hey, we're going to tell the public what we're going to spend, and that's going to help establish the advertised property taxes and the tax rate. The secondary problem, which is what we're trying to really talk about right here, is what are those challenges way beyond just what's the cash flow issue? What does it look like, 1 year from now, 2 years from now, or 3 years? That's really what I'm not doing. My due diligence or not doing you any service if I can't give you some help with that process of what we can do. Because I'm not just going to slam down the paperwork and say, well, this is the budget, that's it. We do have to work through this, and I'm not afraid of it. This is a really interesting challenge for us. We've dealt with interesting challenges here before, and this is just another one we're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, and I think,
So-
clearly we have time,
Yes.
so I just want to be in front of it.
Yep.
Okay, sorry for that digression.
Well, that's okay.
Motion to approve the financial report. Do I hear a second? Second. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Teacher appreciation grant policy, which I think we've done several times. I assume it's largely or very similar.
Yes. Good evening, President Williams, the board, Dr. Reynolds. We do this yearly for the Teacher Appreciation Grant, commonly called TAG Grant, and that is where funds come to the district from IDOE and in December, and then to be distributed to those that were hired by December 1st. And so we have to adopt this yearly, and then I upload the process and the board approval to IDOE by September 17th. And so we'd like to be proactive and do it rolling. The criteria is the same with highly effective teachers will receive 25% more than the effective teachers. We work with the business office and the CEO to establish what that amount is per teacher based on those that are highly effective and effective and the amount that is awarded to our district from the state. So we're asking for approval for this.
Any question regarding the teacher appreciation grant?
Some questions, I mean, just curiosity, so the state, I mean, I know they set the dollar amount, but do you see like any major changes in those numbers, or how are they calculated?
It's usually by district size. And so there's usually, it may fluctuate a little bit, but it's pretty consistent.
And we've been fortunate, it's been about 150, 180,000. I mean, I guess what goes to the teachers is about, has to be a 25% difference between the highly effective and effective. And it's been about, as an example, maybe 1,700, or it's been 800, 600, or, you know.
Is that differential mandatory
Yes.
You have to have a 25%.
as a minimum? It could be 40% different, right?
It has to be 20,
It has to
yes, at least
Right.
25%.
At least 25.
Difference.
Okay.
You can't make it all the same. That was really, that was the issue when it first came out. I think
Right.
it was always, people were giving us.
It has to be at least 25% more than effective.
Dr. Washburn, it's usually paid out in December,
December.
so it's a nice benefit.
Comes right before Christmas, so it's really nice. And it's just teachers. It's not teachers that are here in December, right? Not support staff nor administrators.
Natasha, I've always imagined that there's 4 or 5 people in the basement of the State House with little green eye shades downstairs with pencils, figuring it out. Coming up with that number. Because I've tried to figure it
It's
out,
always
by
an
the
odd,
way.
it's an odd.
Yeah,
number.
and I've
Yes.
never been able to precisely understand it, so, okay.
And so for December, may I add, just
Sure.
for Mrs. Washburn, the highly effective or effective rating from the previous school year.
Okay.
So we just came out of 23, 24, so those evaluation ratings, that's what we'll use for this.
Any additional questions? Would entertain a motion to approve it? Here a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Dialogue and recommendations. I have asked Dr. Reynolds to prepare for the board a report, once we have final numbers on IREAD 3, that if we had the same score next year, what that would look like in terms of retentions, so that we can talk about the the emphasis that needs to be given district-wide at the elementary level to mitigating that in every way possible. That's all I have. Did I ask you about something else, but I think you answered. Cell phone. And I think I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we adopt, with our new handbook adoption, we adopted that policy that complies with the new Indiana code for only use at the high school, only used under teacher direction or, you know, the emergency situation. There's a couple of three things that it can be used for: medical, if it is part of their IEP, but it's under teacher direction. So the middle schools, they have opted through our conversation, our handbook committee, that the middle school, they're going to be off and in the lockers. We have some new communication coming out, some videos, some parent communication is going to come out to support that too. But at the high school, they will have to be, they're supposed to be off and out of sight unless under teacher direction. So what we're going to do is we've created a monitoring sheet to see how that goes at the school when we do walkthroughs in the building, and give that to the district leadership and the building leadership team to monitor that, to see how that's going.
Okay. Any questions on any of that? Thank you. Any media questions, Mr. Klotz? Okay, thank you. Would entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.